Hello and welcome to Facebook Live Wellness Wednesday. I, your host, Virginia Gordon, look forward to sharing some insight on communication. James?
And
Eh,
thank you. And I am James Curry with the Communication Department here at MCHD.
So, we really got an expert in the house as far as communications go, right,
Well,
James?
yeah, I guess you're right.
So, each month we release a video, and they basically surround topics of interest to all of us. So, this month we wanted to do something on communication. Why? Because in a lot of agencies that I've worked at, communication, building communication seems to be an ongoing theme that everybody can agree on, we can all improve. Right, James?
Yep, I think communication is going to come into play tomorrow too.
Yes,
You
and
know,
we thought it would be a very
yeah,
fitting, opportune time because good, effective communication in the workplace is super beneficial, but it's also beneficial in our intimate relationships and with people that we love the most. So, what a better time than when everybody's gathering together and, well, feasting and talking, right?
well, and listening.
Exactly. So, we're just going to get into it as far as some key tips to becoming an effective communicator. The number one quality of the best communicators is,
To listen.
yes, so being a good listener. Um, I don't know if this comes to a shock to many of you or not, but the key of being a good communicator is being a good listener. But how do we do that? How can that be in concrete, simplified steps?
Well, you can take the word listen and
Yeah.
break it down.
Yeah, we could break it down into an
Yeah.
acronym, LISTEN, and maybe talk to you guys about that.
Hmm.
So we didn't come with this. Okay, excuse me. We didn't come up with this ourselves. We
Hmm.
got this from a master communicator, public speaker, Dave Delaney, who was our keynote speaker at the Alabama Counseling Association conference last week. And he basically gave us a cheat sheet in becoming better communicators. So,
Yeah, and I'm looking at it right now.
so
Yeah.
number one for L in listen is look interested. G, if only.
Mm. Do I look interested? Yeah,
Yeah,
you have to obviously engage your speaker with your eyes.
right. What if you don't
Hmm.
like the person though? Well, if you want to communicate effectively, you still need to look interested, right?
Look interested, not be interested.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that can be something that's very helpful in becoming a good listener, is looking interested. Um, in counseling, we actually learn about that as far as our body language. That could involve eye contact, leaning forward, things like that, in looking interested.
Hmm.
All right, I involve yourself by responding. So you don't just have to look all doe eyed and cute listening the whole time, but respond. Sometimes you can respond by, say, asking questions. They talk about something in particular, and this really helps your attention span too,
Hey, could you not?
doesn't it?
Could you nod and
Yeah,
respond?
you nod and respond, but you can
Okay.
also ask something specific like, oh, you know, tell me a little bit more about that. Or I don't really understand. Can you speak to that? And honestly, people love it. They're like, wow, she's really listening. And it
Hmm.
feels good to be heard,
It
right?
does. Yes, it really does.
All right, you want to go over the next two?
Yeah. S. Stay on target. So
Right.
it, like I know when I give a speech somewhere at my Boy Scout meeting or anywhere else, I've got some notes so I can stay focused and stay on target. So I'm
Right.
not off on a tangent like, oh, hey, tomorrow's Thanksgiving.
Right.
So yeah, I want to stay on topic. So
Yeah. And especially in
mhm,
meetings, you can kind of go in rabbit holes. So if you
yeah,
are cognizant of that to stay on topic, you're going to be a better listener too.
yeah, you're right. Now T, test your understanding.
Mm, this is key. And this is something that I really look to help patients with. I summarize what we talk about. And this is something that we do regularly in staff meetings
Mm-hmm.
too, because getting a summary of what you heard could, one, help basically conceptualize the content of what you're discussing, that you can understand it better, but then it can also clear up, say that you got most of it, but you had that little bit that wasn't really what the speaker was trying to say. And then they can clear it up,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like those little follow-up questions. Those are always good.
Yeah.
You want to finish the other two?
Sure.
Okay.
E, you got evaluate the message. So this primarily talks to, or James, I feel like you have something to say with this one.
Evaluating the message.
Yeah. What could that mean?
Well, I better let you take that one.
You see the ball going back and forth.
Yeah.
Evaluating the message is, how could this relate to us, you and the other person? How could this relate to me and my professional development? How could it connect to us as a family, getting along or understanding us better? So you basically kind of look at the deeper meaning and how it could benefit not just yourself, but the people you're talking with. Sound good?
Yeah, I don't want to take E from you, so that
Sure.
was good. So why don't you do
All right,
N?
one more. We
N.
got
Yeah.
in listen. Neutralize the feelings. The speaker basically related to, sometimes somebody said something within their conversation that rubbed you the wrong way. Try to be objective, try to be gracious, try to neutralize those feelings, because if you pinpoint that one little thing that you didn't like, you can miss the message completely. So try to neutralize your feelings as well, is the last one. And that spells listen.
Listen.
Look interested, involve yourself by responding, stay on target, test your understanding, evaluate the message, and neutralize the feelings. Here's the next piece of this psychoeducation little clip. Positivity versus negativity. It's really helpful if you learn to reframe things and answer questions in a positive way versus a negative way. Why? Because your brain does better in opening up pathways in really gaining and retaining information if you're coming at it in a positive mentality. The way the speaker represents and talks about this topic is leading with acceptance. So when you walk in that meeting, when you walk in that living room, lead with acceptance. And what you'll find is, for one, you're going to have more people talking to you. You're going to have more people being honest with like how they feel, how they can talk about things. You kind of get from like stiff to approachable when you lead with acceptance. We're going to give you an improv example, because what the speaker talks about, which we'll definitely show in the notes, how to see his content more and follow him. But he really talks about how improv is a great way of becoming a master communicator, not just for counselors, but for everybody. So he drives this topic home with an example of yes and or yes but. So here we go. We're going to show you the kind of content that you get when you say yes and then the flip side when you're a yes but individual.
Completely unscripted.
Completely unscripted.
Okay.
All right, James, your turn. Choose an object.
Okay. How about a car key?
Okay. Yes, and I love it when I remember where I place my car keys.
Yes, and I am thankful that I have a car key.
Yes. And I really love my little car. It's been trucking for some time now.
Yes, and I have never had to replace the battery in the fob.
Yes, and I have, and it was not a fun experience, but I got through it.
Yes, and the battery is cheap.
Yes. And I guess that's your perception because it definitely was not cheap in my views.
Okay. Well, yes, and you also learned how to replace it, didn't you?
Yes. And it's helpful to learn those life skills each day of the week. Okay, let's
Yeah,
be
that's
done.
that's pretty good.
So, what can we take from that? What did you see in our communication?
Well, it was nothing but positive. I mean,
Yeah,
we talked about every positive thing that we could possibly think of about a car key.
you learned a little bit about me. I
Hmm.
learned a little bit about you.
Yeah.
We were definitely smiling a lot, right? We were laughing. It was something interesting, right? Now, on the flip side, let's go yes, but. See how easy it is. Let's
Okay.
choose an object.
You want me to think of an object?
Sure.
Okay. A red box rental.
Yes, but not many people go and use those anymore.
Yes, but I have a hard time figuring out where to return it.
Yes, but maybe if you looked online, you'd see movies are offered there.
Yes, but you know, when I did find the box, the movie I wanted was out.
Yes, but oftentimes I don't even know what movies are out because I don't pay attention.
True. Yes, but you know, I had to get out of my car to find the movie, and it was pouring down rain.
Yes. So, what might be some observations of that little tidbit? For one, we were kind of stumbling over our words. Did you notice that?
Oh yeah.
It was harder, definitely not smiling as much or laughing as much. It was more complicated when we were negative.
Yeah, and I think when you say yes, but you can't help but evoke something negative.
Mm-hmm.
I just naturally felt to say something like
Yeah,
I got poured on in the
like
rain.
tension, you
Yeah.
know?
Hmm.
So then you're kind of sorting through the murk in your meeting or your attempt to communicate. So that's just a little example of how you can see how leading with acceptance and positivity can really impact your ability to listen and your ability to have effective communication. One thing we're going to plan on ending with is the example, the activity that the speaker did is everybody basically got a white sheet of paper and wrote down one thing that they found the most challenging with communicating at work. From that point, we crumbled it up and we threw it ahead of us. And then we picked up a piece and read it for ourselves. So, because I am a very much lover of insight, and I'm a little dorky sometimes too, I picked up some of these crumpled pieces before I left the conference because I wanted more. I wanted to know more real, honest answers of what was difficult about communicating at work. And so, why don't we read some of those and get
Yeah.
some insight ourselves on here?
Yeah, I'd like to hear some of those too.
Actually, why don't you go first?
Sure.
These
Okay.
are real, honest things from counselors at this conference that they
Okay.
wrote down what's difficult for them at work to communicate. Receive.
Okay. No, I couldn't read that. Yeah, I guess it is receiving feedback from clients.
So yeah, oftentimes, I mean, can any of us relate, even with customers, that we want them to share how they really feel? We want to help them in some way, but they're just saying things are fine, and they don't really. It's hard to evoke that response and that receiving of feedback.
Let's see. Here is my biggest communication challenge at work is communicating my needs and boundaries to my boss and coworkers.
There we go.
Ooh, that's a heavy one.
It takes courage
Yeah.
to share what you really need and
Mhm.
what your boundaries are, and it can be hard. But key word, it takes courage, but it's necessary because you're important. What you want, what you need is
Mhm.
super important, and your employer cares too. Go ahead.
Yeah. just very simple.
We're
Lack,
running out of time. Sorry.
lack of communication.
And isn't time constraints part of that reason? Sometimes we're so rushed that we don't communicate at all.
Maybe we don't
And
know
then
what
everybody
to say.
fails, right?
Yeah. Responding to thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of email messages.
Somebody put it this way the other day. There's so much clutter, it's hard to see what's important. So that is a challenge that many of us face, especially if you're a manager
Hey, didn't we
or in a big organization.
didn't we address on a Wellness Wednesday about keeping email messages like, bulleted and simple, and
Yeah,
so that helps, some of the minutia, right?
absolutely. And then just understanding that you're not the only one that struggles with that. It's just something that with time management you can approach, and you can talk to your internal team about how to help that situation.
Okay, here's one that never happens.
Go ahead.
Okay. My biggest communication challenge at work is receiving email responses in a timely fashion. Of course,
Especially when you're somebody that's trying to get information for somebody else,
Yeah. I was making a joke. That always happens.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
happens everywhere.
Yeah.
So we try to be gracious and we try to get to the point
All right.
and get what you need. And if you don't have what you need, communicate it.
Here's the last one. Paying
This one's
attention,
funny.
paying attention to details, and then following up questions when I'm not interested in the conversation.
Who of you out there is that?
And you're probably going to have a lot of those conversations tomorrow during Thanksgiving with friends, family, relatives that just,
What if they're trailing off about
Yeah.
something that you just do not care about at all? How are you supposed to look interested then?
yes, and I will.
Yes, and it could benefit your relationship even if you don't care about what they're talking about. It could really help.
I've got one for tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes, and thank you, Mom. You make the best dressing in the world.
Yes, and it's really helpful when we have that positive lead with acceptance approach. So without further ado, we will conclude there for the sake of your time and ours. We thank you for everybody that listened intently, I'm sure, and we hope that everybody has a great Thanksgiving and a great couple of weeks and beyond of communicating with your staff and with people that you care about.
So check in next month
Next month,
for another Wellness Wednesday topic.
have a good one. Happy Wellness Wednesday.
Bye-bye.